Welcome back to Coach Kelly Q's. Today we're going to go over the Bulgarian split squat or the rear foot elevated split squat. And there are a few different ways to do the split squat depending on what muscle group you want to be working and how you want to approach it. First, we'll start with your setup. Most of you are going to be working with a bench to elevate your back foot on. Some of you may have a roller that's a little bit lower to the ground, which is what I would recommend. Just lends itself better to the exercise, but I'm going to work with what most people have. So this bench is too high for me. Getting down to the bottom, I'm just not getting enough range of motion with my back foot up on this bench. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to elevate my front foot a little bit as well to increase that range of motion. I think like one of the easier things to use is just a bumper plate from your gym. You might also have an aerobic step or a small box that you could put on your foot. Just please make sure it's not going to slide and then it's nice and stable for you. So I'm going to put my working foot up on my elevated surface. If your bench is low enough to the ground, you can just pull your foot on the ground. The laces of my non-working foot are going to go flat on the bench behind me. And the best way to find how far away you want your front foot to be is just to get to the bottom of your split squat. And you want your knee to be bent at about 90 degrees or even a little bit deeper. If we're too far away, it's going to be really hard to get there. And you're going to have to shift a lot of weight back into your back foot. So you want to be in a place where you can keep your weight centered over your front leg and get pretty deep into that split squat. First, we're going to talk about a glute biased split squat or kind of a neutral split squat as well. So we'll set up working with my right foot, laces of my left foot are on the bench behind me. One thing that I like to implement with my split squats, no matter what kind I'm doing, is a hip shift. So what I'm going to do is shift my hips over toward my working side. So you'll see that my right hip moves in toward my midline. And I'm also going to slightly rotate my torso as kind of like a reminder to stay in that slightly shifted position. And that's how I'm going to stay for my whole split squat. And what's nice about that is as we get to the bottom, you're going to get a little more length through your glute. As you can see, I'm shifting my hip back a little bit. My knee is pretty much stacked over my ankle. And this is going to be a little bit more glute. If you lean forward just slightly, that will also emphasize your glute a little bit more than your quad. So if you want to get both evenly, go a little more upright, more glute, a little bit more forward. Now, if you really want to emphasize your quad, what you can do is either wear lifting shoes like squat shoes where your heel is slightly elevated, or you can use a squat wedge, which we might have one here. Let's make it a slide. Okay. This is a squat wedge, so it just gives you an angle where your heel is elevated a little bit further. This is great for quad work. So I'm going to approach it the same way. My working foot is going to be on that wedge. Back foot is on the bench. The difference here is when we're coming down, you're going to push your knee toward your toes really as much as you can. You want your knee translating forward the whole time you're descending down. You're going to reach a point where you can't do that anymore. And you'll notice your knee almost shifts back toward you a little bit. We want to stop just shy of that and come up. So you're really emphasizing keeping that quad as the main mover for the entirety of the split squat. And you'll notice a huge difference in how much you feel that in your quad versus when your foot is flat and we're doing our more glute focused split squat. Some of the most common mistakes I see people make with the split squat is related to foot position. So some people will get way too far away and this hip gets really, really extended. And that almost kind of becomes like the limiting factor to your split squat. And as you can see, I'm doing the opposite of that hip shift that I taught you guys. Like my hips are almost opening up away from my working leg. That's not what we want. So you're too far away. One thing I've also noticed a lot on social media is sitting way back to the point where you're almost sitting your butt on your back foot. So much weight is going into this back leg. Very little work is actually being done by the leg that you want to be doing the work. So you don't want to sit your butt back on your heel. You want to make sure that you're keeping your weight centered over this front leg, and this was just here for stability.